Well. Good afternoon, my friends. How on today are you doing? I hope and I pray that you're having a delightful day. It's a great Saturday, and I'm Dr. Preston Winfrey, and I want you to know how happy and how thrilled I am to have you as my special guest on today. This is a great day. I've had two things that I needed to do, and I got those things done today. And yay, I am back in the office and enjoying a wonderful day. It's been a peaceful day. And I was sitting here contemplating what it was that I was going to talk about on this day. Got so many different things on my mind. But I want to talk today. I was thinking, in the midst of so much that is going on, and making decisions after decisions and trying to figure things out and make sure things are going the way they should. I just want to share with you, but let me ask you, how are you doing? I mean, how are you really doing? Okay. Yeah, people are still getting sick, people are dying, people are still having success stories, people being healed. And then there's some people who's just seemingly at a standstill in life. Have you ever been there where it just seems like you couldn't move backwards, you couldn't move forward, you're just at a standstill? And just that can be frustrating at times. And I know I've been there. I've had many days and moments like that. And thank God when I was able to reshift and put it in drive. And so we bless the Lord for that. Well, I want to talk today from this subject, this thought. Don't hang yourself. Don't hang yourself. Now, not necessarily saying, lynch yourself. I'm not saying that, but that could also be included in this, because what a person decides today can either make or break that same person later on, tomorrow, a month from now, a year from now, a decade from now. Decisions that we make. I think sometimes about parents, mistakes that they have made, and perhaps they didn't always know they were making mistakes, but they did what they had to do based on what they knew at that time. And what do? We come along and we copy suit. We have only so much information allotted to us. There are so many discoveries that we can make. And so subsequently, we have to make some calls. And every once in a great while, we have to make some serious decisions about some things. Some of those things have all to do with our livelihood, has to do with health, has to do with family, education, occupations, you name it. So we make decisions. And sometimes, depending on the amount of information that we have to sometimes just make a crash decision. This is what I'm going to do. This is the direction I'm going to take. And we cross our fingers as though crossing your fingers will kind of keep you safe. And I'm here to tell you, crossing your fingers, crossing your eyes, and crossing your arms do not prevent errors. It does not guarantee success. So we have to do our own research. We have to find out what others have done, what others have tried. But after it's all said and done, we must make decisions for ourselves. I must make a decision for myself, what I want to do, where I'm going to go, what I'm going to be, how I'm going to get there. And so do you. And how much fun is it? How easy is it get someone else to make that decision for you. Well, people cannot always make the decision for you. We may feel a level of safety asking someone we trust and believe in to make a decision for us, but after it's all said and done, we are the ones who must live with that decision that was made. So, isn't it better for you to go ahead and make that decision? But again, when you have to make decisions about things and pertaining to your life, your livelihood, your future, your well being, I would say take the time out to study it and find out. Look at what your options are and then go from there and say, this is what I need to do. Because after it's all said and done, you are the one who will have to live with that decision that was made. You know, too many people now are living their lives in shame and remorse because of a bad judgment call that was made maybe yesterday or time in their past. You know, sometimes they didn't think a thing through, didn't process it. Just sometimes just said, okay, I'm just going to make a decision, or I'm just going to blindfold myself, and wherever my hand land, that's what's going to be. Well, that is risky business. Wouldn't you agree? Yeah, that's risky. You need to explore your options all the time, as much as possible. Give yourself time. I think about um, many situations that we were in as a family. And I'll just use, for example, timeshare. You get excited. You're like, wow, I see all that they're promising me, all the great fun, the travel, beautiful places, and those things. And you sign on a dotted line because they pressure you. And after it's all said and done, no matter how they pressure you, you are the one who must make that decision. And unless you sign on the line says, I want this, no matter how long they keep you in a room and hold you hostage, they can never give you a mortgage unless you sign for it. And that's so they want to always make sure that you can deliver. And once you sign, I'm here to tell you that's it, unless there is an escape for you. And so it is in life. There are times when we sign things that perhaps we would have done well to walk away from, step back from, take time and say, wait a minute, let me ask myself some questions and not just go with, um, the big writing. The large print gives you all the promises, but the small print takes it away. And we don't always think about the small print. We go with the large print because that's what's obvious, that's what's visible to us. And who wants to take the time to read the details? Well, the big print, again, the large print will give it to you, but the small print will take it away from you. I'm thinking about old Judas. You may remember Judas, and to date, I don't know anyone who has named their child Judas. That's just a negative connotation. But Judas was a disciple of the Lord, remember? And I mean, he spent time with the Lord and hung out with him, and I no doubt gave him a high five and said, hey, we cool, we buddies for life. Well, the truth of the matter is the Lord knew who Judas was, and he knew what Judas was about. He knew the purpose for Judas. But he didn't reveal it. But in time, he made some things known to the rest who Judas was. And so Judas eventually, he was working against the Lord, and he was working with the powers that be, the government, and the religious, some of the religious leaders, and the like. And in short, Judas says, I know this man, and I know you want him, and I can deliver him, but I need to know what's in it for me. And, that's always the trap. What's in it for me? And so many people get caught that way because only thing they're looking at is the bottom line. What's in it for me? What am I going to get from this? What will I derive from this transaction? If I give you this, what do I get in return? And sometimes our eyes get bigger than the reality that we must face and deal with. Sometimes we don't count up the cost. What is this going to cost me if I go there, if I do this, if I say that, if I maintain this posture? What is it going to ultimately cost me? If I turn my back on this person, if I turn my back on that one, if I reject that group, what is it going to cost me? We don't ask those questions. We just think of the right now. And we get the promises that you're going to be happy, you're going to be thrilled, you will have everything you just desire. And unfortunately, the lies we believe because we want to believe that what was told us, even though there's always something within us that says, maybe you need to check that. Have you had that? Oh, I know you have. I know you have had those times, those moments in your life when you were making a decision and there was something within you that says, not, don't go there. You don't want to go there. Sometimes you're tempted to say something and you're going to say it. And there was a voice that spoke to you, says, keep your mouth shut. And you were like, I can say what I want to say. It's a free world. And yet, before you know it, you said it. And many times you live to regret it. And sometimes just saying, I'm sorry, they can excuse you that way, but what they cannot excuse, what they cannot erase, and what will not evaporate is what you said. Because once you said it, it is said. And there are things that once you have performed them, it's done, right? It's done. And we spend a lot of times trying to undo what has been done. We try to fix what is broken. But it's like shattered glass. You know, you drop a vase, a glass, and it breaks in all these pieces and little crystals and those kind of things. You cannot put it back together. Oh, it doesn't matter how much tape, how much glue you have, you will never get it back to a solid piece because it has been broken, it has been damaged. And some things, they're just utterly damaged. Have you ever broken something? You dropped it perhaps, and it fell apart, and you thought you had all the pieces only to discover there were critical pieces missing. Well, Judas was like that. Judas, who was a disciple of Christ, decided one day that he was going to sell Christ. And Judas didn't know uh, where Jesus said, what does it profit a man to gain this world and lose his soul? Judas told the religious leaders and he told the politicians, I can deliver this man to you, but the price must be right. And so he agreed. They said, we give you 3 bags of silver. Each bag will contain 10 pieces of silver. So you have a total of 30. Judas thought, man, this is a sweet deal. You mean to tell me all I have to do is point out Jesus? All I got to do is betray him? Hey, let's do it. Let's get it done. And so Judas, he meets Jesus up here in the garden. Jesus had gone to the Garden of Gethsemane. Remember? You remember, don't you? Okay. He went there to pray. Asked his disciples, I need you to watch with me for 1 hour. You know what those disciples did, don't you? They went to sleep. Wouldn't pray, wouldn't watch. Jesus came back and said, hey, what's going on, fellas? What's up? And they're like, oh, okay, we got you, we got you. He says, I just need you to watch with me for an hour. He goes back and prays some more, and he feels this weight on him. And he returns only to see the disciples sleeping again. And he finally said, you know what? They said, oh, no, we're with you. He said, no, go on, take your rest. Do what you need to do. And then here comes Judas. That rascal comes in and kisses him on the cheek. I'm like, hey, master, what's up? What's going on? Well, Judas had already told the fellas, the one I kiss, that's the one you need to arrest. And so here they come with their swords and chains and all these things to arrest Jesus. Jesus said, oh, that's not necessary. You know, um, you know, uh, we don't need all that. And Peter pulls out his sword and clips off a guard's ear. And Jesus said, Peter, put that away. What you live by, you're going to die by. And Jesus picks the fella's ear up and put it back on, without a surgical knife, without sutures. Jesus is doing miracles right there in the garden, knowing that he's facing his final hours, right? And Judas walks away. Judas goes and he collects his money. And Judas feels, man, I'm struck it rich. I'm living, on Peel Hill. But later on, Judas had time to think about it. He started processing this thing. He thought about what he had done, how he had betrayed Jesus, his master, the teacher, the Son of God, the one who had done no wrong, the one who had loved him, and that takes a lot of love to, to love a devil. But Jesus did. He loved him. But Jesus also knew that he was the son of perdition, that it was for that purpose that Judas was created, to be the one to deny, not to deny, but to sell Christ out. He betrayed him big time. And so they take Jesus and they arrest him, take him away like he's some terrible criminal. Well, let's get back to old Judas. Judas now, can you see him? He living big. He's got his crib decked out. He's got all this money, but then later on, he discovers with all that he has, all that he has gotten, ill-gotten, he doesn't feel good. Something isn't right. He's not sleeping. He's not resting well. I can hear Judas talking to himself, saying, "What have I done? Why did I do this? The man didn't do anything to me. What made me go there? What made me think that? What was I thinking?" Well, you and I know it because he wasn't thinking. But isn't that typical of us? That after we've done something crazy and goofy, and when time works against us, we stop and ask ourselves, what have I done? I think about people who refuse to communicate, speak with others. They think, unfortunately, some people feel that if I don't talk to you, then it's going to ruin your day. When in essence, that might be a very great thing, because I'd rather a person not talk to me if they don't want to talk right than to talk to me with a deceitful spirit. So you can rest not having to speak to me, and I can rest not having to listen to you, right? I'm just saying, and I'm just using me as an example, but think of the people who think that if I don't fellowship with you, I don't talk with you, I don't look at you, then that's going to hurt you. Well, listen, that again, sometimes it's a blessing in disguise, because now I don't have to pretend and I don't have to be uncomfortable around someone who does not want to be with or around me. I'm just saying, and I'm using me as an example, because I know had I used you for an example, you'd be upset and say, oh, how did he know? So just pretend I'm talking about myself. So Judas, he is now feeling utterly miserable. So then Judas entertains this idea. I tell you what I'll do. I'll take this money, these coins, I'll take it back, and I'll give it back. I'll turn it in because I just can't believe that I betrayed this great man named Jesus. Man who healed the sick, fed the hungry, man who raised the dead, man who healed countless people, man who gave sight to the blind, made the lame to walk, enabled the dumb and caused them to talk, unstopped deaf ears, made the blind to see. Oh my gosh, this man who relieved those who were demon possessed, relieved them from those devils, and gave them their right minds. And I made a dumb move. And so Judas said, what I'll do, I'll see if maybe I can reverse this. And so he takes the coins back to the preachers, to the religious folks. And he takes it back to the politicians. And they were in unanimous agreement. We don't want the money. We didn't need it no way. That's just the amount we decided we were going to give you to make the delivery. What you have done is already done. We've got who we came after. He's going to be crucified, right? And Judas, the Bible said later on, before Jesus crucified, Judas hung himself. He hung himself. When they refused to take the money back, they said, hey, we take this money and we can make a potter's field, but we don't need the money. You did what we needed you to do. And isn't that just like the devil? The devil don't really want us. He just wants to use us. And I want to ask you, my friend, is the devil using you? Are you doing his work? Are you mean and arrogant without cause? Are you mistreating people without cause? Are you thinking yourself better than others because you have some things that others may not have? You do know that's not healthy. That isn't right. And I want to say to you, don't hang yourself. I know people who have lost relationships, great relationships, for stupid stuff. People who have listened to wrong voices and got the wrong advice and information and took it to be gospel without verification. And some of those, when they found the truth, they came and they said, how can we make this right? But there are others who just persist in their ignorance and their folly. And pride did not allow them to humble themselves and say, wait a minute, it was me, I was wrong. And will you forgive me? Well, there are those who are out of fellowship with churches, out of fellowship in marriages, out of fellowship in families, out of fellowship in relationships, out of fellowship on jobs, all because someone would not humble themselves and say, you know what? How can we fix this? How can I make this better? I'm wondering today, my friend, where you are. Perhaps you made some bad judgment calls. And maybe the judgment call you made is not fatal. Just possibly, it can be fixed. It can be repaired. Would you want to repair that? Would you want to make it better? Then why not Why not invite the one who was betrayed into your heart? Because later on, you read where Jesus died on that cross for you. Yes, he did die. Died for our sins. That whosoever believes in him would not perish, but would have eternal life. And not only eternal life, but the life that is more abundant. And Jesus, who died, went to the grave. They buried him, but he didn't stay there. The grave couldn't hold him. And that's great. The grave and death cannot hold truth. Truth will always rise. I don't care how you try and bury it. I don't care what you put in front of it. I don't care what you sprinkle on top of it. Truth will rise. And those things that were done in the dark, behind closed doors, they're going to hit the light. And I'm just saying what I'm saying. I'm not taking it back. I'm going to stick with this story that you don't have to hang yourself. Now, those of you say, well, I feel the rope going around my neck. Well, I'm telling you, unloose it and refuse to hang yourself. When Judas realized that he could not reverse what he had done, the Bible said, so Judas threw the money into the temple and left. Then he went away and hanged himself. And I want to say to you, don't hang yourself. Don't allow your pride, your attitude, or anything else cause you to do the doofless thing. Be smarter than that. Be wise and decide, I'm going to do what I need to do to make it right. Listen, don't let bygones be bygones, but you do the right thing. And when you do the right thing, as the song is playing, you'll be able to say glory to his name. Because that same Jesus who died and was buried, he rose again on the third day. And he has since gone back to glory. And he's making intercession for us even now. You know, he's preparing a place for us. And one day, he's going to come back again. For all those who love him, those who are looking for him. And listen, he is coming back. Oh, I believe he's coming back. Don't you believe that? How many of you know he's coming back? Well, you be a witness for us, will you? And put it in the put it on Facebook, put it on YouTube. Let someone know what you believe about this man named Jesus. Thank God that if in all your ways you trust in the Lord and believe in your heart, God will help you and he'll direct your path. Oh, I know he will. That's what Proverbs 3, 5, and 6 says. Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Lean not to your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him. He'll direct your path. James said it this way. If any man lacks wisdom, then let him ask God and the Father of all, who will give it to you without little installments, but he'll give it to you in abundance. Well, my friend, thank you so much for joining me today. My time is up. I'm through, and I'm just about finished. But it has been a great afternoon. Thank you for spending it with me. I love you. God loves you. Have a good rest of today. Have a great one on tomorrow. Listen, tomorrow we're going to be in worship. We'll be back on these same channels. That's going to be at 9 o'clock a.m. Central Standard Time. And then at 11 o'clock a.m. on tomorrow morning, I'm going to be guest speaker over at the New Progressive Missionary Baptist Church, located 9425 South on Perry Street. And so I want to invite you, come be my special guest. Come on, worship with us, both locations if you can, if you will. Say a prayer for us. I love you. You love me. We are a happy family, right? And I'm not Barney, but I am the Right Reverend Dr. Preston R. Winfrey. And I want you to have a good rest of this day. I'm just going to let this play out.